Yeah, East Africa Business Council is a regional apex organization established in 1997 by the three original members of EAC. That's Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya. Then when Rwanda and Burundi joined, they also became a member of EABC, and recently in 2016 South Sudan also joined the EABC. So it's a regional apex organization formed by the business communities across the 6 EAC partner states. As I've enumerated those partner states, we represent the interests of our national apex organization from the 6 partner states, also the interests of corporate members, and recently we've expanded the scope to include small and medium enterprises, which constitute the backbone of our economies. So again, not only SMEs, we've also brought on board the platform such as the Women in Trade platform and the Youth in Business platform. So in brief, that is the EABC. Our core mandate is to raise the voice of the private sector, of the regional private sector, to ensure there is a conducive business environment in the region. Our vision and mission is to ensure there is borderless trade and investment across the region with no barriers to trade. So we believe that in the absence of the barriers, our economies are able to grow to a double-digit growth. They are able to achieve prosperity. They are able to create jobs, especially for our growing youth population. Of course, maybe before I speak about the barriers, I need to speak about also the momentum, the political momentum and the political will by the government of Burundi to attract investment and business in Burundi. I've seen a couple of months, His Excellency, the President of Burundi, has been going across the region, engaging the business community to come and invest in Burundi. That demonstrates the political will and the willingness to attract business and investment in Burundi. So that is key. From the investor and business perspective is a key. When you have the political will, it becomes the anchor for investment and doing business in Burundi. So of course, there are other initiatives, as I ably articulated, in terms of the government creating a special economic zone. I visited the special economic zone, 40 hectares of land earmarked for those investors from different sectors, agribusiness, pharmaceutical, ICT hubs. So the government has serviced the land. They are engaging the contractor to construct the special economic zone. That's a positive aspiration, and we commend the government for that. We have also seen the infrastructure, both roads, energy, and even addressing issues related to access to finance. So there is that I would call a positive move in terms of attracting investment. Having said that, there are still a number of barriers. A number of barriers are related to high transport costs, high logistics costs for goods coming from the port to Burundi. Some are not infrastructure related. They are not infrastructure. Some are related to our ability, what I call human factor, to quickly facilitate the movement of goods from the port to the final destination, to the warehouse for the. So when you look at the number of the borders, there is always this trade-related barriers at the border, not to quickly clear those goods. So we urge and commend the government to ensure that the borders are open and the officials at the borders can quickly facilitate the movement of goods. The same also, I reiterated my call to the government that even at the airport, the current charges related to COVID tests, $100 is very high. It makes Burundi uncompetitive. When you look at the other countries, we traveled from Tanzania to Nairobi, it is $50. So there is a need for harmonization of the COVID testing charges at the airport. It's important and it's urgent for the government to ensure that they reduce that charges to $50 with the view and also a move even to eliminate it if we are to attract more tourists to come to Burundi. Then also facilitation in terms of OBR to step up in their efforts to ensure that the payment is fast-tracked at the airport. Whoever is paying can be done electronically in order to reduce any kind of corruption that may arise as a result of the delays, especially for the passengers who are coming. So those are some of the areas. Then on the cross-border women, we hereby really, as EABC, advocate that the $30 charged at the border between Burundi and DRC should be immediately reduced to $5 to do what we call a reciprocity. Because when we spoke to the women there, they are saying on DRC, you pay only, when a Burundian trader is going to DRC, they pay only $5 for 14 days. And when they are coming, they are bringing their things from DRC to Burundi, they are charged $30. That's high, and $30 is the capital for these women. They said they have stopped trading. And it's through trade, through the women trade, that we see a growth of business. So those are some of the barriers that can be advocated for, and the government can take serious measures to ensure those barriers are quickly removed. Also other issues on other borders, the government should work with their counterparts to reduce those barriers. So I think again on the cost of finance, it has been raised by a number of the traders and investors here that the cost of finance here is very high. So we urge and appeal to the banks to, first of all, restructure the loans given the effect of COVID, then also give long-term loans for the investors in various sectors of the economy at a reduced interest rate. Because once the business grows, even the bank deposits grow. So there's a need to engage, to engage the bank and negotiate the interest rate. The same applies to the central bank in terms of giving access to the foreign currency to the traders. When you look at the black market rate vis-a-vis the central bank rate, there is a very big disparity, which can be, we don't want to create more informal economies. We want to create formal. The only way you can create a formal economy is simplifying, streamlining the procedures, access to the hard currency like US dollars. So the bank should also ensure that now they also reopen and liberalize the forex market. I'm told the forex bureau are no longer working. There is a need for government to open. That's how you liberalize. You need to liberalize your currency in order to create a level playing field. So those are some of the key recommendations. Again, we put forward to the government to ensure that the private sector can be revived, can be strengthened, can be able to do business. Yeah. Otherwise, the Burundi is ready for doing business. Yeah, there are a number of opportunities in doing business and investing in Burundi. One, Burundi, as I said, there is a political will and commitment by the government to reduce the barriers that hinder investment. Then the legal framework in Burundi, I've been looking at the investment incentives to whoever wants to invest in Burundi is accorded various tax-related incentives. There are a number of sectors now that have potential for investment. The agribusiness sector is very potential. Burundi can produce enormous products, agri-related products. Talk about fruits, talk about vegetables, talk about coffee, talk about tea. So there is a potential in agribusiness. There's also potential in pharmaceutical-related products in Burundi. There is a potential in tourism. As I said, tourism would be a key sector here, given that you have the Lake Tanganyika. That is a tourist attraction center. And I'm happy that a number of investors are being attracted along the Lake Tanganyika. And I saw it last evening in terms of investment in a hotel and hospitality industries. There is a potential in the manufacturing, value addition. It is through manufacturing and industrialization that we are able to create the necessary jobs for our youth. So the manufacturing sector is potential here in Burundi, and investors would be attracted to set up their manufacturing plants. And a number of them have already started doing that. I also look at the ICT sector. A lot of opportunities in ICT, in e-commerce platforms, and these sectors in ICT are driven by youth. So it's important that we create more incentive with regard to information, communication, and technology sector to spur the growth. We are also looking at the laser and the laser-related sector. There is a lot of potential in the laser sector. That is another sector that the government can promote, and there is a lot of potential here. Yeah. Then the same applies to, as I say, to the light manufacturing industries, where a number of companies are able, like furniture making industries. There is a lot of potential, given that there is a linkage with the tourism. I visited some of the craft industries. Take an example, one here. They have very, very good products made from the cow horns, and it is growing. When you use just one jewelry is $100, and people are buying. So there is a lot of potential here, as long as we streamline, simplify the procedures for investment. So once there is that simplification, harmonization, standardization, then I'm sure in a couple of years, Burundi will be on the right track in terms of their economic transformation. Our plan for the future as EABC and as a CEO, one is that we need to support the recovery. Government there is a need for concerted effort between the government and the private sector in terms of the recovery agenda. And looking at those sectors that were heavily hit by COVID, especially tourism, we need to put in place packages and incentives for the recovery of those sectors. The second important aspect under my plan, or EAB's plan, is reduce the barrier to trade, boost trade facilitation program. I was happy that Burundi was recently joined or rectifying the agreement for continental free trade area. That's a market, a huge market for 1.3 billion people. We are talking about GDP of 3.5 trillion. It's a huge market that provides opportunity for youth, small and medium enterprise from Burundi to trade with their counterparts in the whole of Africa. So I really commend the government efforts in terms of rectifying the agreement of the continental free trade area, the open sky policy. Like currently, it's very, very expensive. Generally, when to travel from Tanzania to Burundi, I paid $1,000. That's very high. How can we reduce the landing cost for our airlines coming from the region to Burundi, so that it makes it easier for people who want to come and enjoy different products in Burundi, are able to travel. So the landing cost is very, 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 very high, and the reduction in landing cost is very critical in terms of boosting the tourism sector. I'm looking also in the area of trade facilitation, barriers at the border, barriers at the port, they need to be dismantled. They need to be removed for the private sector to grow and thrive and make impact on the economy, make impact in terms of poverty reduction, make impact in terms of job creation. Jobs can only be created by private sector, not by the government. The role of government is creating a conducive environment. And that's my appeal. When there is a conducive environment, the private sector drives the growth. The private sector generates important and sustainable jobs. The private sector leads to poverty reduction. It is visible, it is tangible, and it can be seen. So those barriers, administrative barriers, they need to be dismantled, they need to be removed. We need to create a conducive and a competitive business environment in Burundi. Thank you very much, and I want again to thank the media fraternity here for sparing their time to come and interview me. And I really wish also to thank the government, people of Burundi, and the private sector association for excellent hosting me and the team for excellent hospitality. Asantini, asante sana, murakoze cyane.